Entrepreneur Magazine said I was the #1 marketer in the world, and they also said I created one of the 100 most brilliant companies. My name is Neil Patel, and I help companies generate more revenue through digital marketing.
I'm not the wealthiest guy in the world, and money's great, but what you do with it, I think, matters more important than just making it and helping other people. It's in my DNA. A lot of that comes down to passion, because if you're not passionate about something, you're just gonna quit. I was someone who's super hungry, really hardworking. I'm pretty much the same person. It's more so I've just learned a lot from my failures and my mistakes. And I've also learned to have a better balance in life. This sounds crazy, but like the most fun I have other than hanging out with my family and friends is actually just working. I actually prefer working over almost anything.
Typically, the more money you make, the more money you spend, right?
Money's not that important for me. The quality of life is more important. It was worth every single minute. I didn't care about the money. I didn't care about working or the next contract. I was just living the moment, and I was just so excited to share that with my child. Enjoy life. Live in that moment.
Go to YouTube, search for Neil Patel, and you will find hundreds of talks with Neil about his early days, his investment strategy, his business, his team, but also how much money he makes, what he buys, and of course, you can learn a lot about digital marketing. I haven't found, though, anything about his personal life, what he stands for, what he's inspired by, and of course, what he's appreciated for. Top 10 most influential marketers, one of the best digital marketing experts on the planet, and we don't know what drives him? Well, these were some of the questions that I asked Neil today. Thank you and enjoy the episode. Did you have a role model back then, or when you started, who taught you the grind, who sort of like was the person that you was inspired by, that helped you to get where you are right now?
Yeah, I didn't really have a specific role model who taught me the grind. I had a lot of role models that I looked up to, though. So, for example, there was an entrepreneur in Seattle named Andy Liu. He still lives there, great guy. He's taught me a lot about business over the years. So there's a lot of people like him who have guided me if I've had an issue, but the grind, a lot of that you just learn on your own. It's either you're willing to work hard and you love what you're doing, so you're going to put in the hours, or you're just not. And it's tough to convince people to put in the hours and to grind it out. It's either they want to or they don't. You can't really force someone to work really hard and continually do it for many years without taking a break. A lot of that comes down to passion, because if you're not passionate about something, you're just going to quit.
I saw Neil with the microphone, with the hair, with a lot of curiosity, a lot of, go, 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 etc. So can you paint for me, who you were at the age of 16? If you were to describe, one as a kid or as a teenager, who you were?
So I was someone who's super hungry, really hardworking, aggressive. I would do whatever it takes, of course, breaking the law or trying to do things unethical. And I was really arrogant. I believed I can do things better. I knew better, even though I didn't have the experience. Other than that, I would say I was that bachelor, not necessarily partying it up and dating a ton of people. But when I say bachelor, I was able to just focus only on work and nothing else in my life because I had no other responsibilities.
You work 7 days a week?
I still work 7 days a week.
You still work, and you worked back then 7 days a week, yeah?
Yeah, but I would work all of Christmas, to give you an idea. Now I take breaks. Even right now, like yesterday was Sunday. And when it was Sunday, my kids got a bike for the first time. My wife bought them a bike. There was missing a part. I went to Home Depot, bought a spare part, helped them fix it. And then I started taking my daughter out to ride a bike. I loved it. To me, it was one of the most fun things out there that I could do. And I'm in Vegas right now. So you're talking about like 103, 105 degrees Fahrenheit, which is just terrible weather to be outside in. It's just really hot. You go out for 5 minutes, you're going to get sunburned. But nonetheless, my daughter wanted to ride a bike and she was so excited, and so did my son. I loved pushing them, and even though they have training wheels and they weren't really riding a bike and they struggled to pedal, for me, it was worth every single minute. I didn't care about the money. I didn't care about working or the next contract. I was just living the moment, and I was just so excited to share that with my child.
Well, then when you say you're working 7 days a week, then like what is work on Sunday? We're just sometimes thinking about some ideas, putting some notes, having one or two meetings, it's not an actual like full day blown work, right? It's just some work. There's some kind of balance, right, in there.
Yeah. So for me, 7 days, now it's balanced. I play with my kids throughout the whole day, 7 days a week. And before, when I was working 7 days a week, I was trying to grind 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. And now I would probably work 8 to 10 hours a day on the weekdays. On the weekends, I probably work no more than 4 hours each day. So, still working a lot of hours, but just nowhere near the amount of hours I used to work.
Are there any characteristics that change in you throughout those, years when you're 25 now?
Less arrogant. I focus more, try not to do too many things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty much the same person. It's more so I've just learned a lot from my failures and my mistakes. And I've also learned to have a better balance in life.
Usually when I am arrogant and I was arrogant kind of, and usually when you start out and you thinking that, you are more motivated, more hungry than others, then you potentially want to do everything yourself, right? And you just start to kind of teaching people, etc. Now you know how to delegate, how to build teams.
It took me way more than 14, 15, 16 years to actually learn delegation. I wasn't good at it. I tried to develop it. It just took me a long time to grasp it. And it wasn't until later on that I realized that I'm not the best manager, and then started trying to develop it. I should just focus on hiring the best people for the job that know more than me, and they'll figure out a lot of the problems. They'll figure out the solutions to a lot of the problems that I'm facing because they've already dealt with them before and they know how to solve it. So even to this day, I'm 38. I manage pretty much no one. I don't have anyone that reports underneath me. I'm not the best manager. I'm a terrible manager. And what I learned over the years is I understand the concepts on how to delegate, but more so I've learned to focus on what I'm the best at and let other people deal with the rest, and don't micromanage them and just let them do their thing.
Would you say that these exact words describe Neil as 38? So if you were to kind of compare yourself to the 25-year-old and now so this is who Neil is.
Yeah, because when I started off, I was like 15, 16. When I started off, I was trying to do everything and I believed I could do it better. I also didn't have as much money. So you have no choice but to do everything.
Yeah. Now, I'm curious, can you name a few key pillars of your personality that you appreciate the most in yourself?
Sure. So a few key pillars that I appreciate. I'm really caring. I really care about the people that I work around. I want to make sure that they're doing okay, not just financially, but also mentally. I also have a lot of compassion, and I understand the ups and downs people go through, and I want to be there for them, even though people say don't bring your personal life to work. I don't mind that when people do. The other thing is I'm more of a family man now. I understand work-life balance. I would say that's another big difference. I'm also wiser. I wouldn't say I'm smart, but I'm wiser. I've learned from a lot of my mistakes, and I don't think I'm smart by any means, but I do know some of the pitfalls to avoid and what to do as an entrepreneur and how to solve a lot of problems. And that just comes from experience, not because I believe I'm smart. By no means. I think I can learn quite a bit more.
You still have that curiosity in your eyes. It's very interesting when you meet people and you see their curious eyes, right? It's one of the first things that gives you out the energy, right? Okay, now, what does your team appreciate you for, or what kind of personality pillars that you have that your team appreciates you for?
Well, I think my team appreciates me for knowledge. I share a lot of knowledge with my team, and they learn a lot from me. And I think they love that because it's a place when you come to work for my ad agency, NP Digital. I work with people and I'm teaching them new things constantly, as well as I'm learning from them as well. The other thing that I think they admire about me is I really do care for them, and they know that, and it's in our culture. And I really try to go above and beyond for a team. But those are the two probably main factors. And we're still a small company, but we have like 700 and something employees, maybe 750. At our size, it's also too hard for me to know everyone and really be as involved as I used to with each person. And we're continually adding more headcount, which just makes it harder to maintain that culture.
Yeah. Do they still have access to you, like a calendar, Slack? Just random people from the company can book meetings with you, or not anymore?
No, they can. They just email me or call my cell phone.
Yeah. Now, I mentioned that you bring your personal life into into your work life, right? But now, what does your family appreciate you for? I just want to understand whether these are the same pillars or there are some other things that you kind of, take from the team or, keep in the family and not bringing outside.
My wife appreciates how I'm a caring husband, not just to her, but also to my children. They also appreciate how a lot of people spend time with their family, but they're not
Right.
really there. And what I
Yeah.
mean by that is not about how much time you spend, it's the quality of the time and how dedicated you are when you spend time. And when I'm with my family, it's 110%.
Mm.
I'm not thinking about other
Yeah.
things. I'm 110% no matter what. And my wife does notice that, and our kids do too, and they appreciate that. The other thing that I would say that is super, super helpful is when I'm dealing with my family, they've had a good life, and I really do think they appreciate that I provide for them. But more importantly, I think they really appreciate how we provide for others. So my wife does a lot of philanthropic stuff. She spends all her time doing that and has been making a huge impact. And my kids understand the concept, like when they eat dinner and they waste food, that there's other kids who are starving and they see pictures of them, and it makes them want to finish their food because they understand that the world is a tough place and they have it great. And there's other people who need help. Even when I travel, my daughter's 4, if I'm traveling to poor countries, my daughter would be like, Daddy, make sure you help kids there, buy them some toys and some books. They don't have enough. And it makes her happy when I do so. And I'll share pictures with her and things like that. I think are super important. I'm not the wealthiest guy in the world, and money's great, but what you do with it, I think, matters more important than just making it and helping other people. It's in my DNA. It was in my mom's DNA. It's in my wife's DNA. And I think it'll be in my children's DNA. I don't need my children to be the most successful people in the world, but if they're just good people and they treat other people with respect, and even better if they can help others, I'm a happy guy. I think I would have done a decent job raising my children if that ends up being the outcome.
In one of your interviews, you talked about contentment, right? And what contentment is for you. So are you content with your life now at the stage where you're in right now?
It's been content for a very long time. I have most things I want in life. I don't really have any desires to buy stuff. Like buying stuff doesn't really make me happy. I already have enough shiny objects. I don't really care for them. I drive a Honda Odyssey. I don't know if you guys have those in, I think you're in Europe, but it's a minivan. I have
Oh,
no
really?
issues.
Although you might want to have a more comfortable car, or this is the most comfortable car that you need at this point?
With kids, it's the most comfortable. We also have some other fancy cars too. Don't get me wrong. We have really expensive cars as well, but don't really care for them. I have them. It's not like, oh, I need a really fancy car. I just have them. It's not like I have them because I wanted it. It's more so for convenience. Like I have a really nice sedan and I have a driver. But I'm so busy working that it's easier for me to crank out emails in the back than having to drive all the time.
Did your content change over the years?
It's gotten better and better. But it changes because what you're looking for changes in different times of your life. For example, when I was single, I was content. But when I got married and had kids, the content's different because you want to spend more time with family. When I was single, didn't care to. I wanted to work all the time.
Can you share with me with one of the lowest period of your life that in terms of your contentment?
When I was starting off, I would say I struggled a lot as an entrepreneur when I was around 16, a lot of ups and downs and struggles and making money and then losing it all, making it and then losing it all. So it just makes things a little bit more difficult.
Would you say that you just had a lot of stress at that point in time, right?
I did, yeah.
Do you have a lot of stress right now?
Not really. Life is pretty good.
When did you have the most stress in your life? When you started? First few years?
Not just first few years. I would say in the first like 10 to 15 years of being an entrepreneur were really stressful. I would say it gets less stressful once you don't have to worry about money anymore.
Now, it's interesting because, usually when, you grow your business and you guys are obviously scaling international company, you have 700 people. Typically, the more money you make, the more money you spend, right? Especially in your business. So you always sort of like, in a growth stage, just reinvesting, et cetera, et cetera. So, but the stakes are higher, right? Because now you have more, R&D, more expansion.
It depends on your scale. Like we're big enough where even when we spend, we still have a good amount of profit. The issue is expanding like crazy. The issue is we can't expand fast enough. It's not a money problem at this point. That's what I mean, where the stress is pretty well balanced because we can expand enough with the capital we have and have enough left over where we're content. But we're not big enough where we can just start buying companies for $500 million here or $1 billion there. But yes, I have desires to build a really big company. I don't need it though. Like if I don't build a $10 billion company, it's not going to hurt me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, in one of the interviews, you mentioned that one of your sort of like long-term goals is to, build one of the biggest and the most successful marketing agencies worldwide, right? But then if there is an executable plan for that, right? If it's possible and you can actually do that with your lifestyle, that's perfect, right? Because that's sort of like a vision, right? But if you don't,
what I'm trying to do, I won't adjust my lifestyle to hit the goal. Like I refuse to. So I will not go and work on it. If the company could be 20% or 100% bigger, but my lifestyle would get affected by, going back to how it was, I won't do it. The money's not that important for me. The quality of life is more important. At the age I am, I'm 38. My kids are still young. I want to spend the rest of my life watching them grow up. Money isn't everything for me. Yes, do I want $100 billion like Elon Musk or Bill Gates or whoever? Sure, but I don't need it to be happy. And two, I don't think I'm a good enough entrepreneur to also generate that kind of income. Like I know I'm decent at what I do. I'm probably better than most people in marketing, but I'm not exceptionally talented like a Elon Musk or Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg. Like sometimes people just don't have that. And I know that, if you want to talk about football or soccer, whatever you want to call it, I'm not Ronaldo. I'm not Messi. I'm not the best, in entrepreneurship. There's other entrepreneurs who are better than me. But, I'm doing well enough in the marketing arena. I'm having fun, and why not keep scaling?
At the end of the day, you also are, constrained within your industry, within your sort of like niche, right? So, if you were to now take, let's say, 50 mil of your business and invest that in logistics or transportation, or just start, grinding in a different, area, probably you might be able to get to 100 billion, a trillion, right? Because I'm sure that,
my market's not big. You got it right.
Right.
The marketing industry isn't big enough.
Yeah.
And specifically marketing services industry. Yeah. Marketing services and software isn't big enough for me to get to those numbers.
Right. So now when you look at okay, do I actually want to step into the bigger industry? Would I get the value? And you're like, yeah.
I thought about it. I almost did it a few times, but I just didn't end up doing it.
Yeah.
And I think I could have done a great job, but I'm loving what I'm doing, having fun. So what's the difference with the money? I'm already donating it. My wife and I don't want to give it to our kids. We just want to give it all away. So might as well enjoy life at the same time. And I'm not saying enjoy life, like go fly on a private jet or go to outer space and spend $500,000 getting to outer space. It's more so just enjoy working, enjoy the company I'm in, things like that.
Can you, now you say that you don't have a lot of stress basically, and some of that stress is already eliminated by the, amount of the financial cushions you kind of have in your organization and where you are, but none. During the first 10 years of running and hustling, etc., can you speak to me about, because again, it's, entrepreneurship, it's a marathon, right? It's about longevity. You wanted to do that consistently over the very long period of time to get to a good place. Can you help me understand how did you deal with stress back then? What were thinking in your head, reading, meeting people, spending your time off the calls to increase that longevity to yourself?
I don't have a good answer for that. You just deal with it. You just have the stress and you just keep going, because my life wasn't great before business anyway, financially. So you have no choice. It comes with the territory. Either you deal with it or you don't. You don't, then you won't get the money.
Let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, when I have a lot of stress, you need to make more, hard decisions. You need to let people go. You need to you're not sure whether, and so I'm always looking to support of my, of the people that I work with or of my partner or my family. but getting that support allowed me to deal with the stress. So you can kind of, bounce off some ideas of people, get the conversation going. And then by having a sort of like answers and then understanding that, just kind of speaking out loud about that stress and living through that with people allows to go through that motion, right? So whatever I know when I'm under stress, I go and I essentially ask for help, but not necessarily asking, hey, I need help, but rather like, hey, let's talk about this, or I'm experiencing this kind of turbulence in my life. Have you been doing the same, or you have another sort of like approach kind of dealing with that specific motion?
No, I don't do that. So my approach is, I just remember when things are going really well, that other people in the world have it much better than me. Or when things are going really bad, there's other people in the world who have it much worse than me. So that's helped keep my stress more maintained and level, because I just realized that, when things are bad, there's people without clean drinking water. There's people without parents. There's kids out there who are starving. Like my life isn't that bad. And when I think things are great, I'm not doing as well as Bill Gates or Elon Musk, right? So it's just staying level really helps me deal with the stress, because you put it into perspective.
A lot of people that I know, or a lot of people I think from your problem network, or generally with regards to your lifestyle, at some point in time start thinking a lot about routine, health, exercise, nutrition, like getting to the peak of their performance with regards to who they are, to basically getting their younger themselves, for a long period of time. Have you ever think of, ever had any interest in that type of, of the work activities, or you were not one of the people?
No, I wasn't one of the people.
Why is that?
I don't know. Just wasn't. Also for me, I really enjoy working. This sounds crazy, but like the most fun I have other than hanging out with my family and friends is actually just working. I actually prefer working over almost anything. And I like the ups and downs. It keeps life entertaining.
So when we talk about the balance, have you always had a balance, like personal business balance? You just mentioned that that wasn't the case for you, no?
Not when I was younger. Once I got married, I had a much better balance. Even when I was dating my wife originally, I was just a workaholic. It wasn't until I had kids that the balance became better.
When we talk about the balance, I think we need to clarify something like in the vocabulary. What does the balance between personal business life mean to you personally?
Yeah, balance is work when you want to work and have fun with your family when you want to have fun with your family. If I want to spend a day at Disneyland, I should be able to and not worry about work. To me, that's balance. But if I want to work the whole day, I should be able to work that day.
I think this is the new reality of 2023. No, I think this is just the times we're living in right now, that many more people can actually allow themselves the lifestyle when they are available, when they're balanced. Just, where we are as a society right now. I think that 15 years ago, that wasn't possible at all or it was very hard to actually balance, out everything.
And it's easier now too, because a lot of people can work virtual and from anywhere.
Right. And they can, travel, have a lifestyle, have family. But also, I think there's just a lot of things changed after the pandemic, right? It's just, I think like it's been 3-4 years, but now people are so casual about their schedule. You have it in the schedule, you show up. You don't have it in the schedule, you don't show up, right? So
people are so much more casual. COVID sucked, and a lot of people passed, which sucks. But it changed the way a lot of us work and live our lives. And to some extent, I think it's given a lot of people a better perspective in life, in which life isn't just about working 100% of the time. So you gotta go outside, smell the fresh air, even social media. I used to tell my wife this before COVID. We were dating. We would be in places like Central Park in New York, and she would want me to capture the perfect picture. And it's not about capturing the perfect picture. The picture should be in your head, your memory. It's not about social media. It's about enjoying life and living in the moment. Does it mean that you shouldn't take a picture and put it on social media? No, that's nothing wrong with doing that either. But you don't have to spend an hour trying to get the perfect picture. Enjoy life. Live in that moment.
I'm one of the people that practices, I call it like informational hygiene, where I'm not on Instagram, so I'm not posting because I just don't see the value of it, right? And I am opt out from all the informational channels that would just be noise for me. So I kind of don't read a lot of things. So I usually get information from my partners that give me the vetted information I need to know about my industry or about what's happening in the tech or, some politics, etc. But I'm like opt out from everything. And it allows me to be present, to be aware in the moment and enjoy the moment fully without, being concerned that I'm missing something out and I need to take something out from it, like a photo or something. So that's why I'm the worst companion in the traveling, because I'm not, when you have a group on WhatsApp after you travel and everyone from the group are sending photos from the travel, I'm one of the people that don't send any photos because I don't have them. So I'm just
That's me as well.
Yeah.
I actually would probably put the WhatsApp thread on mute.
Yeah. Yeah, everything should be on mute, right? So it's like, why do you need notifications?
Too much noise. I'm like, let's just enjoy life. I don't want to be on my phone all the time just looking at text messages. And then what you find is when you're on these group threads, people just send random bullcrap half the time.
Yeah.
Excuse my language.
Maybe that's why you still can be, it's one of the, secrets of why you can be effective and, the longevity of things is just being present but also like, don't spend your time on things that you shouldn't be spending your time on. So we obviously talk about the balance. We talk about, being able to enjoy life. We talk about, generally to be happy, to be present, etc. But then you went through a lot of grinding in your days, like a lot of work, a lot of office, a lot of meetings, a lot of stress, etc. Right? And now you can appreciate that. When we think about the current generation of entrepreneurs or the just generally professionals that are living in there, I see a lot of similarities between what we are going through in terms of the lifestyle, enjoying the life, but I see a lot of things missing from the grind or from being stress resistant, etc. What do you think, like, did just overall, what we have right now in terms of, just living out the work-life balance life or by after the COVID, or did it impacted the overall perception for the younger generation of how things are? And do you think it's bad for innovation? It's bad for, for society?
I don't know if it's bad for innovation, but I have seen a lot of younger generations coming up with unrealistic requests and demands. Like, I know a lot of people in younger generations, they're just like, I want to work. I want you to pay me a lot, but why should I work Fridays and Mondays? I should have 4-day weekends and I should only work 3 days a week. And that's unrealistic if you want a ton of money and you don't want to put in the hours. I've seen a lot, and not all, but I've seen more people, and it could just be me who's experienced this, more people who are younger generations expecting more, and they want to put in the least amount of effort for more. And it's just not realistic. If you look at a lot of the people who've done well, most of them done well because they grind it out, they put in the time, they put in their dues. And you can't just live in this world where it's like, yeah, I'm just going to make a ton of money and travel and I barely have to work for you. Oh, the company does really well, you got to give me a huge bonus. Oh, the company does really bad and the company started losing millions of dollars, you still owe me a huge bonus even though I didn't want to work either.
Because I did the work, can we also say, right? I did the work, so I should have a bonus, although it's not.
No. I'm not even talking about people doing the work. I'm talking about people who barely did the work and they'd missed some stuff and they're like, well, I don't care, I still deserve it. Which we're seeing that more from younger generations. Because I'm also investing in a lot of companies. We're seeing that more from younger generations than we previously did pre-COVID.
What can we do about it?
I don't know. I don't know how to solve that. I just think reality will sink in for a lot of those people over time. And it's not all younger generation, but reality will sink in for a lot of those people. It's just time.
Do you think maybe we need to harden out some of the processes or some of the company policies and just kind of get people back on just grind?
I know what you mean, but I don't know if we need to do that. I think people will just figure it out on their own. Because if they're not getting the results they want financially or career-wise, they'll have to shape up. And if they don't shape up, they'll be stuck. And that's their problem.
you still have, I think that at where you guys are at seven or 800 people, and or with all the company you invested in, you probably have a few, people that you don't see eye to eye with in terms of their approach of doing things, right? Or as you said, like, hey,
Maybe
still
I don't know all the people, but yes, there has to be some people I know that for a fact, and there's some people I know I don't always agree with their approach. I don't worry about that. I don't believe that my approach is always the right way. I think there's many approaches to solve a problem. And if the other person is doing really good and the results and the data is showing that they're doing great, even if their approach is different, there's nothing wrong with it, especially if they're not doing anything unethical or hurting anyone. Why not?
I also think that it depends on the industry, right? Because I have one company that I invested in that are for like Gen Z's, esport, etc. And I mean, whenever I work with them, I specifically set up myself to only focus on the things that matter for them, that matter for their industry, and don't take the bullshit that I have from more corporate industry into into their world, because it doesn't make sense and they cannot embrace that, right? And opposite to that, I'm trying to sort of like focus the people in an industry that are more traditional with the way things are, and not sort of like get and allow all of the Gen Z stuff, for them specifically. I believe you might have very similar approach.
Yeah, I have a similar approach. You're adapting based on the target audience and the industry people are in.
I think we are in a recession, not in the economical slowdown. So what's your take on this? Where are we at?
I don't know if we're in a recession or not. I know businesses has been slowing down for a lot of different sectors. Some not, some have. And I don't know economically if we're in a recession or not, but we're not in a booming economy where everything is just fine. You're seeing a lot of people cut back, a lot of people getting fired. Things are changing. What does that mean? Classification wise, when you use a term, I don't know. But we're seeing the slowdown, especially in marketing.
So when I Google recession, so it said that recession is the business cycle contraction that occurs when there is a general decline in economic activity. It's like a decline. Now, a lot of people say that we don't have a decline yet. It's just the slowdown, that the economy was growing so fast that we just slowed down the growth at this point. Now, the question is, because we've been growing so fast for a long period of time, the growth, or not the same growth, is basically the fall down, or like it's not like you got the point, right? So because you're growing so fast, then any slowdown is basically the decline, because the economy didn't used to.
I get what they're saying. I just don't know the technical definition, because everyone, depending on the country you live in, can change the definitions before they want to classify something as a recession or not, or a slowdown or not. So is it based on unemployment? Is it based on GDP? What do people want to base it off of? And they use complex formulas. I try to stay out of what is a recession or not, but I do see slowdown in certain sectors in business. That's just a given. I think a lot of people see that. You can see that in a lot of stocks for publicly traded companies as well.
When you started the year, did you expect the same traction as you have right now, or the same level of, the economy that is right now?
No, I expected more traction. I expected the business to do better. The economy has hurt us more than we expected.
And it's during the first quarter or the second quarter? For me, it was the second quarter of the year. The first was one like pretty decent, but the second was like throughout the whole thing. The whole thing.
Yeah. Whole 2023 has been tough for us. We're still doing well financially, but the growth of 40 to 70% a year is gone.
I noticed that, advertising costs are way low right now. So you can actually get ads at a very decent cost. I saw people interested, a lot of people shopping around, just kind of talking, inquiring, getting the short listing company, etc. But no one is making decisions, right? As if sort of like they just kind of holding on things on. Did you notice the same in within your client or within your business?
Yes. A lot of people are not making decisions as quick, and the sales cycles have just gone to be double the length.
Yeah. When we started the year, my sales team had about between 8 to 12% closing rate across the board with like both inbound and outbound leads. And, we've been generating between 3 to 500 deals every month adding to the pipeline, right? So now you can kind of make a conversion. So we were just landing clients, etc. Now in the next 4 months, that conversion went down to between 2 to 4%, but then the number of deals is the same, and we actually get the cost down, which is weird, right? But then, as you said, like the sales cycle went up, twice the length.
We're similar. Number of leads in the pipeline are similar, but number of closed deals has gone down by half.
How long do you think it's gonna last?
Well, I think it'll last until sometime in next year. I think we'll start recovering sometime in 2024, 2025. I think realistically, things will start looking better in 2025 or onward. I don't really see it just drastically improving in the next 6 to 12 months. I think it'll take a while. It's slow.
Are we already at this kind of decision-making bottom, or are we going to get lower than this in the next 6 months?
I don't know. Marketing is usually the first industry to get hit and also the first one to start picking back up. We're starting to see the leads and RFPs starting to pick back up, but we only have 1 month of that happening. So if that happens for the next 6 months, then we know that we're starting to pick back up.
Yeah, we had the same in June, basically. June started picking up and it was like, okay, nice. But now obviously 4th of July, etc. So it's very slowing. So let's see, let's see.
We're in the same position.
Yeah, how the marketing, although we are in appointment setting business, so we're not doing digital marketing, we're doing appointment setting, lead generation, but which is, in a way, just a more vertical channel in the whole thing. Yeah. So, interesting. You've been doing this for 23 years. Is this slowdown or recession somehow different from whatever other slowdowns or recessions that you've seen in your past?
I've never seen one like this because we're seeing some industries booming still and some going backwards. Keep in mind, I'm only 38, so I haven't seen too many recessions, but, or too many slowdowns is probably a better way to put it. But yeah, this is a little bit unique because a lot of the numbers are looking good, but you're having interest rates continue to rise and people pitching doom and gloom on television. So what's really happening, I don't know.
You know what we noticed? People start being more cautious about numbers. And that was the first time when my sales team reported that, hey, Michael, our clients started asking about cost of acquisition during the first meeting. And we were like, wow, we were always talking about, hey, let's calculate your cost of acquisition. And no one was like, yeah, I don't know, whatever. And now the clients came in and say, hey, what is the ROI? What's the cost? X cost per, etc. I think interesting. Is that just the market evolved or the buyers evolved? Or it just, the investment climate is tough. People start, counting money more. The CFOs start being more tough on.
Yeah, I think it's the environment that's causing it. People already knew about calculating that kind of stuff for many years. It's not like a 1 or 2 year change or even 3 year change. This has been going on a long time. People already knew about ROI and tracking it and how to calculate it. And a lot of companies do. It's that they're just more sensitive in this economy. That's why they're asking those questions.
One last question to close up. What would you guys do to adapt?
So what we do to adapt is you continue to try to displace everything that you're doing. Try to crush your own business. If you can crush your own business, and you can be the first one to do it, you'll figure out how to adapt.
What do you mean to crush your own business?
So for example, we're a service-based business. How can we use AI to make things more efficient? That changes things up, right? We're trying to change the way and build a business that's stronger, better than even ours and change the way that we're used to doing things.
Optimize, more tech, more automation, maybe repackage the value prop. I mean, I think one of the first reactions when someone is not buying is like, hey, maybe I'm too expensive, or like, can I get the cost down, or can I offer a more budget sensitive solution, especially in services? Have you considered to adding some kind of low budget type offering for the clients that cannot afford?
We have an SMB division. So we've had that even before COVID.
All right. So you're trying to crash your company to basically optimize things. Anything else?
That's the main way, and always try to continually learn and experiment.
Did you also focus more on, profitability and then sustainability of the business, or you continue kind of pushing for growth and reinvesting R&D?
Pushing for growth. I'm not the guy who focuses on profit. My co-founder does. I try to push for growth. That's all I really care for.
Okay, so I do have some other good questions, but let's keep it in the list for the next time.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching my conversation with Neil. I had so many more questions, but unfortunately wouldn't have time. If you'd like me to record part 2 of Neil Patel, please let me know this in the comment section or leave a comment with the question that you have to Neil as well. And we'll be sure to organize another session with him. Thank you. Cheers.